First Contact and Deception. Supreme Commander Zerl of the Varax Dominion stood on the command deck of the Inevitable Conquest, the massive flagship of the 7th Expansion Fleet. His 4 eyes narrowed as he studied the holographic projection of the blue-green planet that hung before him. Earth, the 3rd planet of an unremarkable yellow star in the spiral arm of a common galaxy. Magnify the orbital infrastructure, Zerl ordered, his gravelly voice echoing across the silent bridge. The hologram shifted, zooming in to display Earth's orbital space, a collection of primitive satellites, a small modular space station, and various pieces of space debris circled the planet. Nothing remarkable, nothing that posed even the slightest threat to the Varax Dominion's mighty warships. Science Officer Telver approached, her slender form gliding across the polished deck. Supreme Commander, our scans confirm initial assessments. The species calls themselves humans. They have achieved nuclear fission, basic spaceflight, and rudimentary digital communications. No sign of gravitational manipulation, quantum shielding, or warp technology. Zerl's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. Another pre-ascension civilization, ripe for integration. There is one curiosity, Telver added, her voice dropping. They appear to have detected our arrival despite our stealth protocols. Their global communication networks are buzzing with reports of our presence. Irrelevant. Zerl dismissed with a wave of his upper limb. Prepare the diplomatic package. Standard integration protocol. Integration. The word was a euphemism, and everyone on the bridge knew it. The Varax Dominion had integrated 27 other civilizations across 12 star systems. The process always followed the same pattern: arrival, assessment, ultimatum, and then either submission or conquest. Few chose conquest. The Varax military was too overwhelming, their technological superiority too vast. Earth would be no different. Launch reconnaissance drones, Zerl commanded. I want detailed scans of their military capabilities, power generation facilities, and leadership structures. As the drones deployed from the Inevitable Conquest, they spread across Earth's atmosphere, cloaked in technology that rendered them invisible to primitive radar systems. They recorded, analyzed, and transmitted data back to the fleet. Zerl reviewed the information with growing confidence. Earth's militaries were fragmented, divided among nation-states with conflicting interests. Their weapons were primitive: ballistic projectiles, chemical explosives, and a small arsenal of nuclear warheads. Nothing that could penetrate Varax shields, nothing that could stop the Dominion's phase disruptors or gravitational weaponry. Establish communication with their global leadership, Zerl ordered. It's time they understood their position. In the United Nations Emergency Security Council meeting, Secretary General Amara Chen maintained her composure despite the unprecedented crisis unfolding. Representatives from every nation sat in stunned silence as they viewed footage of the massive alien vessels that had appeared in Earth's orbit 12 hours earlier. "What do we know about them?" asked the Russian representative, his voice tense. General Miguel Santos, recently appointed head of the United Earth Defense Initiative, stepped forward. Not much. 24 vessels, each approximately 5 kilometers in length. They've deployed some kind of reconnaissance drones globally. Our conventional radar can't detect them, but... He paused, choosing his words carefully. Other detection methods have tracked their movements. What other methods? Demanded the Chinese representative. Before Santos could answer, the screens in the chamber flickered, and an alien face appeared. The being had 4 yellow eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, a crested skull, and mandibles where a human mouth would be. When it spoke, its words were translated into every Earth language simultaneously. People of Earth, I am Supreme Commander Zerl of the Varax Dominion. Your world has been selected for integration into our civilization. Your technological and societal development has been assessed and found inadequate for independent status in the galactic community. You have 2 of your Earth rotations to surrender your governments, disarm your militaries, and prepare for the arrival of Varax administrators. Resistance will result in mandatory pacification. This is not negotiable. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in silence. After several seconds, Secretary General Chen spoke. "General Santos, what are our options?" Santos exchanged glances with Dr. Eliza Kamau, director of the Advanced Technology Research Division. It was a look not lost on the representatives present, a look that contained something unexpected: confidence. "Madam Secretary," Santos said, "we recommend Protocol Omega." Chen's eyes widened slightly. "You're certain?" "Yes, ma'am. We've been preparing for this scenario for 15 years. The U.S. representative leaned forward. "What is Protocol Omega?" "I've never heard of it." Chen took a deep breath. Protocol Omega is classified at the highest level. After the Ganymede incident in 2029, certain discoveries were made. Discoveries that led us to believe Earth might eventually face extraterrestrial contact of a hostile nature. "What Ganymede incident?" demanded several representatives simultaneously. Dr. Kamau stepped forward. "In 2029, a small scout ship was discovered buried in the ice of Jupiter's moon, Ganymede. It had crash-landed there approximately 300 years ago. The technology we recovered was revolutionary. But more importantly, the ship's database contained information about various spacefaring civilizations, including the Verax Dominion. And you kept this from the majority of the UN Security Council." The French representative's voice was sharp with accusation. "By unanimous agreement of the P5 nations," Chen replied calmly. "We needed to prepare without causing global panic. Protocol Omega is the result of 15 years of secret technological development and military preparation, using reverse-engineered alien technology." "Are you saying we can fight these aliens?" asked the Brazilian representative, skepticism evident in her voice. General Santos smiled grimly. "Fight them? No, Madam Representative. We're going to defeat them." On the bridge of the inevitable conquest, Supreme Commander Zeril reviewed the human response to his ultimatum. As expected, there was chaos. Emergency meetings, military mobilizations, public panic, all standard reactions from a pre-ascension species facing integration. "They're moving their naval vessels into defensive positions," reported Tactical Officer Drem. "Primitive nuclear submarines are diving to maximum depth. Aircraft are scrambling worldwide." "Any indication they're preparing to surrender?" Zeril inquired. "None, Supreme Commander. Their global leadership appears to be in continuous emergency session." Zeril's mandibles clicked in disappointment. While he had hoped for a peaceful integration, experience had taught him that a show of force was often necessary. The humans needed to understand the futility of resistance. "Prepare demonstration strikes," he ordered. "Select 3 military installations, 1 each in their largest nation-states. Precision strikes only. We don't want to damage potential resources." As the inevitable conquest maneuvered into position, Zeril couldn't help but feel a twinge of regret. It was always the same with these developing worlds. They never understood until it was too late that resistance against the Verax Dominion was impossible. The weapons systems powered up, preparing to deliver a lesson that would ensure Earth's swift surrender. Behind him, Science Officer Telver studied her readings with growing concern. "Supreme Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet's surface." "Explain," Zeril demanded, his attention still focused on the targeting systems. "It appears to be some kind of energy grid activating globally. The pattern is familiar." Before Telver could elaborate, warning alarms blared across the bridge. Tactical Officer Drem shouted in disbelief. "Energy spike detected. Multiple locations planet-side." "Impossible," Zeril growled, turning to the tactical display. "They're a pre-ascension species. They don't have." His words were cut short as bright beams of energy erupted from Earth's surface, slicing through the void of space directly toward the Verax fleet. The beams moved with impossible precision, targeting the exact vulnerable points on the Verax vessels. points that should have been unknown to a civilization that had never encountered their ships before. As the first Verax vessel erupted in a blinding explosion, Supreme Commander Zeril realized he had made a catastrophic miscalculation. Earth wasn't defenseless at all. They had been waiting, preparing, and the Verax Dominion was about to learn a painful lesson about underestimating humanity. The unexpected defense. Helena Carter hadn't slept in 36 hours. As director of the Global Defense Grid, she had been in the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains since the moment the Verax ships appeared in Earth's orbit. Now, as the alien fleet positioned itself for its first strike, her years of preparation were finally being put to the test. All Defense Grid nodes reporting ready, Director, announced Colonel Jackson, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. Quantum shields at 100% capacity. Targeting systems locked. Helena nodded, her eyes fixed on the massive display showing the positions of the Verax vessels. 15 years of secret development, trillions of dollars in black budget funding, and a combined scientific genius of Earth's brightest minds had led to this moment. The public had no idea that the weather satellites, telecommunications arrays, and even ordinary-looking office buildings around the world housed components of the most advanced defensive system humanity had ever created. They're powering up weapons, reported Lieutenant Commander Sharma from the sensor station. 3 targets identified, military bases in North America, Asia, and Europe. Helena's voice was steady as she gave the order they had rehearsed countless times in simulation. Initiate Protocol Omega. Defensive Posture Alpha. Hold fire until they strike first. Around the world, hidden installations hummed to life. The quantum shield, reverse-engineered from the Ganymede chip's technology, began to form an invisible protective barrier around the planet. Unlike conventional energy shields, the quantum shield existed partially in another dimension, making it virtually impenetrable to standard weapons fire. Verax vessels firing, announced Sharma, tension evident in her voice. On the main display, 3 beams of destructive energy lanced down from the alien ships, aimed at military installations in the United States, China, and Germany. The command center held its collective breath. The beams struck the quantum shield, which flared into visibility for a brief moment, a shimmering blue network of energy surrounding the planet. The attacking energy dissipated harmlessly, absorbed by the shield. Shield holding at 99.7% capacity, reported Colonel Jackson. Energy absorption successful. Helena allowed herself a small smile. Now we show them what happens when you threaten Earth. All nodes, execute counterattack pattern Theta. On the bridge of the inevitable conquest, chaos erupted as the impossible unfolded before them. The demonstration strikes, which should have destroyed 3 Earth military bases, had been completely neutralized by some kind of planetary shield that none of their scans had detected. How is this possible? Supreme Commander Zeril demanded, his composure cracking for the first time. Their pre-ascension. They should have no knowledge of quantum shielding technology. Before any of his officers could respond, alarm klaxons screamed across the bridge. From the planet below, precisely targeted energy beams erupted from installations that had previously appeared to be nothing more than primitive Earth structures. The beams sliced through space with unerring accuracy, targeting the shield generators, propulsion systems, and weapons arrays of the Verax vessels. Evasive maneuvers, Zeril ordered, but it was too late. The human counterattack was too precise, too coordinated. 3 Verax ships exploded in rapid succession as the energy beams found their targets. Another 4 were crippled, their main systems failing as secondary explosions rippled across their hulls. "They're targeting our shield junction nodes," reported Tactical Officer Drem in disbelief. "That information is classified at the highest levels. How could they possibly know where to strike?" Science Officer Telver's voice cut through the chaos, her tone one of dawning realization. "The Ganymede scout ship, it was one of ours, lost 3 centuries ago on a preliminary survey mission." Zeril stared at her in shock. "Are you suggesting they've had access to Verax technology for centuries?" At least decades, Telver confirmed, checking her data. Long enough to understand our ship designs, our shield configurations, our tactical weaknesses. The implications hit Zerl like a physical blow. The humans hadn't just been lucky, they had been preparing, studying, waiting. The supposedly primitive civilization had been putting on a performance, hiding their true capabilities until the moment of confrontation. Another series of precisely targeted beams lanced up from Earth, disabling the weapon systems of 5 more Verax vessels. In the span of less than 3 minutes, half of the mighty 7th Expansion Fleet had been either destroyed or crippled. All ships, concentrate fire on the planetary defense installations. Zerl ordered, desperation edging into his voice. Full power to forward shields. The remaining Verax ships fired in unison, pouring destructive energy toward Earth's surface. But the planet's quantum shield absorbed each attack, growing stronger with each impact as it converted the energy of the Verax weapons into additional power for Earth's defenses. "Supreme Commander, we're detecting new energy signatures," reported a sensor officer. They're launching ships. From concealed facilities around the planet, vessels of human design, but clearly incorporating advanced technology, rose into orbit. They were smaller than the Verax warships, but moved with incredible speed and precision, targeting the remaining alien vessels with weapons that sliced through Verax shields as if they weren't there. "Impossible," Zerl whispered as he watched his fleet being systematically dismantled. "This can't be happening." In the Global Defense Command Center, Helena Carter watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. The orbital defense vessels, another product of the secret 15-year preparation, performed exactly as designed, their quantum phase weapons bypassing the Verax shields by partially existing in the same alternate dimension. "Verax fleet at 20% combat effectiveness," reported Colonel Jackson. "No losses on our side. Quantum shield holding at 97% capacity. The inevitable conquest is attempting to coordinate a retreat," added Lieutenant Commander Sharma. "Their FTL drives are powering up." Helena nodded. "Disable their propulsion systems. Don't destroy the flagship. We want prisoners." A series of precisely targeted energy beams struck the inevitable conquest, severing power connections to its main engines and FTL drive. The massive vessel hung in orbit, helpless as the remains of its once mighty fleet were systematically neutralized around it. "Director, we're being hailed by the Verax flagship," announced the communications officer. On screen, Helena ordered, straightening her uniform jacket. The main display shifted to show Supreme Commander Zerl, his proud bearing diminished by the chaos visible on his bridge behind him. Fires burned in several sections, and injured Verax crew members were being treated by medical staff. "This is Director Helena Carter of Earth's Global Defense Initiative," she stated calmly. "Your fleet has been neutralized. Your weapons are ineffective against our defenses. You have no avenue of retreat. What is your response, Supreme Commander?" Zerl's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of distress in Verax body language. "How is this possible? Your world was assessed as pre-ascension. Your technology was hidden." Helena finished for him. "We've known about the Verax Dominion for 15 years, ever since we discovered your scout ship on Ganymede. We've been preparing for this day, studying your weaknesses, developing countermeasures." Zerl seemed to age before their eyes, his proud posture collapsing as the full weight of his failure crashed down upon him. In the 3,000-year history of the Verax Dominion, no integration fleet has ever been defeated. "There's a first time for everything," Helena replied without sympathy. "The Verax Dominion made a critical error, Supreme Commander. You underestimated humanity." The alien commander was silent for a long moment before responding. "What are your terms?" "Unconditional surrender. Your crew will be treated humanely according to the protocols outlined in your own military database, the one we extracted from your scout ship. A human delegation will board your vessel within the hour to accept your formal surrender and begin negotiations for reparations." As the transmission ended, applause broke out across the command center. 15 years of secret preparation, of sacrifice and determination, had paid off. Earth had not only survived its first contact with a hostile alien civilization, it had emerged victorious. And it had done so in less than 5 minutes. Galactic consequences. The United Nations General Assembly Hall had never been so full. Representatives from every nation on Earth packed the chamber, along with journalists from every major news outlet. The gallery was standing room only. On the main floor, an addition had been made to the usual arrangement. A section for the Verax delegation, with specially designed seating to accommodate their non-human physiology. Secretary General Amara Chen approached the podium, her expression solemn despite the historic nature of the occasion. The chamber fell silent. Distinguished representatives, honored guests, citizens of Earth, and representatives of the Verax Dominion. Today marks 1 month since the attempted invasion of our world and the revelation of humanity's true technological capabilities. Today we formalize the peace between our civilizations and announce Earth's emergence onto the galactic stage. The chamber erupted in applause. When it subsided, Chen continued, "For 15 years, a select group of scientists, military personnel, and political leaders have worked in secret to prepare Earth for this moment. The discovery of the Verax scout ship on Ganymede in 2029 gave us both warning and opportunity, a chance to develop defensive technologies that would protect our planet from external threats." She gestured to Dr. Eliza Kamau and General Santos, who sat in places of honor near the podium. The success of Protocol Omega was the result of unprecedented international cooperation. For perhaps the first time in human history, the nations of Earth set aside their differences and worked toward a common goal: the survival of our species. Supreme Commander Zeril, now officially designated as the Verax Ambassador to Earth, rose from his seat and approached a secondary podium. His once proud bearing was more subdued now, but he maintained his dignity as he addressed the assembly. "People of Earth, the Verax Dominion acknowledges its error in attempting to forcibly integrate your world. We gravely underestimated both your technological capabilities and your determination to remain independent." Zeril's 4 eyes scanned the chamber before he continued. "In 3,000 years of expansion, the Dominion has never encountered a civilization that concealed its true level of development so effectively. It is humbling to have our assumptions so thoroughly disproven. The treaty we signed today recognizes Earth as a sovereign power and establishes the framework for peaceful relations between our civilizations." As Zeril returned to his seat, Director Helena Carter approached the podium. Her role in Earth's defense had made her a global celebrity, though she still appeared uncomfortable with the attention. "The treaty signed today contains several key provisions," she explained. "First, the Verax Dominion acknowledges Earth's sovereignty and territorial rights to our solar system. Second, they agree to provide reparations in the form of technological knowledge, particularly in the areas of medicine and sustainable energy. Third, they will facilitate Earth's introduction to the wider galactic community." She paused, her expression growing more serious. "But perhaps most importantly, the Verax have agreed to reform their policy of forced integration. The 27 civilizations previously subjugated by the Dominion will be given the opportunity to regain their independence through a process of gradual autonomy." This announcement drew the loudest applause yet. When the chamber quieted, Secretary General Chen returned to the podium. "While we celebrate our victory and our newfound place in the galaxy, we must remember that our success was built on secrecy and deception. The public was kept in the dark about the existence of extraterrestrial life and the true nature of our technological development. This was deemed necessary for planetary security, but it represents a failure of transparency that we must address moving forward." She looked out over the assembled representatives. "Therefore, today I am announcing the formation of the Earth Unification Council, a new governing body that will oversee our planet's interstellar affairs and ensure that all nations have equal access to the advanced technologies previously restricted to those involved in Protocol Omega." 3 months after the failed Verax invasion, Helena Carter stood on the observation deck of the newly commissioned Earth ship Unity, watching as the blue-green sphere of her home planet receded in the distance. As the first human vessel designed for interstellar travel prepared to make its inaugural journey to the Verax homeworld, she reflected on how quickly everything had changed. Dr. Kama joined her at the viewport, having second thoughts, Director. Helena shook her head. Not second thoughts, just processing. 6 months ago, we were still pretending to be a pre-ascension civilization, hiding our true capabilities from both the galaxy and our own people. Now we're heading to the capital of the Verax Dominion as equals. More than equals, Kama corrected with a small smile. Word has spread throughout the galactic community about how quickly Earth defeated the 7th Expansion Fleet. We're arriving not just as a new player on the galactic stage, but as a power to be reckoned with. Helena considered this. The revelation of Earth's true technological capabilities had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The Verax, once feared as invincible conquerors, had been humbled by a supposedly primitive world. The balance of power in the region had shifted dramatically. Captain reports were ready for the first FTL jump, announced General Santos as he joined them. The Verax High Council is expecting our delegation in 3 days. Are they still pushing for that defensive alliance? Helena asked. Santos nodded. The defeat of their fleet exposed vulnerabilities they didn't know they had. They're worried about reprisals from other galactic powers, especially the civilizations they previously subjugated. How ironic, Kama mused. They came to conquer us, and now they seek our protection. A chime sounded throughout the ship, indicating the imminent FTL jump. The 3 of them took seats and secured themselves for the transition. You know what I find most remarkable about all this? Helena said as the engines began to power up. Not the technology, not the victory, but the fact that humanity remained united after the revelation. I expected riots, accusations, demands for access to restricted technology. Instead, we've seen an unprecedented era of cooperation. Nothing unites humans like an external threat, Santos observed, or an external opportunity, Kama added. The galaxy is full of civilizations, technologies and knowledge we've only begun to explore. We're embarking on humanity's greatest adventure. The stars outside the viewport began to stretch into lines as the Unity prepared to make its first faster-than-light jump. Helena thought about the Verax, who had arrived at Earth so confident in their superiority, only to have their fleet crippled in less than 5 minutes. They had made the mistake that countless others had made throughout human history. They had underestimated humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and determination. As the ship transitioned to FTL speed, Helena couldn't help but smile at the thought of what lay ahead. The galaxy was about to learn what the Verax had discovered the hard way. Humanity might look primitive on the surface, but underneath lay a species that had been forged through millennia of struggle, innovation, and an unquenchable desire to survive against all odds. The Empire had thought Earth was defenseless. They hadn't lasted 5 minutes against humanity's true power. And now, humanity was taking its rightful place among the stars.